Well, you'll never guess what I found. And I apologize for the video. I'm recording this on my iPad, which has a 19th century tunneling contractor's camera on it. No autofocus. Actually, no ability to focus at all. And it's hard to hold, so it shakes a lot. I apologize. But I found my phone on the road, right where I thought it would have been. And it's been there for a while now, so it's served as a surface to drive on for quite a while. What I absolutely don't believe, though, is that it still works, which is pretty incredible, really. And I mean, this is coming from somebody who's owned, all kinds of Nextels and Sonams and, old tanks, phones that generally are known to be pretty durable. And I will say that I'm impressed. Not necessarily because it was run over, because, I mean, if it's on a flat surface, the force on it is unlikely to really, bust the logic board in half or anything like that. But the fact that the screen still works being this smashed is pretty impressive. And even more impressive is that it still has, there's no way you're going to be able to see it, but the battery is, it says 56%. And it's been laying on the road for, like a week or more now. And this is also going to be really hard to see. But right about in the middle of the dock connector, you can, I'm looking at it here on the screen, and you can see a little bit of green. There's no way I can make this thing focus any better. I'm sorry about that, but there's a little bit of green there, and what that is, which you can see a lot better looking at it in real life, obviously, but is the two charging pins, the 5-volt positive and the ground, are actually completely corroded. This was sitting, I mean, I lost this when we had a big snowstorm. So, it fell into the snow, and that's why I couldn't find it. And it had been down at the bottom of the road, at the side of the road, and it was sitting in a puddle of salt water, which, I mean, everybody's heard of somebody or even had an issue where, they dropped their phone in water, and that can kill them. Although, with the electronic stuff that I do, I'm well aware that water doesn't necessarily harm electronics. It's pretty bad for screens, and other than that, water itself isn't particularly bad for them, believe it or not. What really will kill them, though, is if it's conductive. So, if it's hard water, if it's got a lot of minerals in it, that'll do it. But I mean, road salt and slushy, salty road salt water, that's got to be the absolute worst environment for electronics. I mean, everything should just be corroded completely away. It's obvious that it was in road salt because of that green. I mean, it's just like fuzzy green there. You can see quite a bit of electrolysis was happening on that connector. So there's no way I'm ever going to be able to charge it after this. Not that I really want to. But the amazing thing is that it still works after that, because I really, that battery was spending a lot of its juice for the last week. I mean, this thing barely will run itself if you're doing anything, network intensive or whatever for more than a day. But to sit in a bath of salt water performing electrolysis for a week and it's still got 56% left, that's really good. But what I did want to mention, though, was that the reason I wasn't able to find this within a reasonable amount of time was because the data didn't work on it. So, we had switched the data plans, and for whatever reason, Verizon required us to dial star 228 and then do option 1 to program the phone, which I did, and the data didn't work, and it was just a couple days of trying to get the data working. I think I got it to work a little bit the day that this happened, but then I remember being in the car right before I lost it and the data wasn't working again. Just when I brought it home here, it connected the Wi-Fi, and I got an alert on my iPad right away that it was found. Well, no shit, it was found because it connected the Wi-Fi. But previous to that, no data service, even though should have had data. And I'll tell you what, had I had data service on this, I'd have been able to find it long before anybody ran over it. Because, like I said, I dropped it in snow at the side of the road. I mean, I was aware that it was lost within the hour, and I was looking for it most of that night and then the next morning. And with that much snow on the ground, there was nobody driving through that road. It was a small, almost like um, just a little cul-de-sac area. So, I really think this is Verizon's fault. Partially my fault for losing it, but that stuff happens, and that's why we have services like Find My iPhone. And even if it were a glitch with Find My iPhone, I could kind of understand that. This isn't really a glitch, though. This is something that shouldn't have happened. Why I didn't have data service, even though I was technically paying for data that day, and they just couldn't do it right, So I had 2 days without data service, and then a couple minutes of data service right after I called them, and they told me to dial *228, and I did. And then a couple minutes later, it stopped again, and I forget if I even dialed *228 again. I probably did, but I don't remember. Why it's necessary to do that, I'm not really sure. I've never heard of anybody on a GSM network having to do that. So, that whole *228 thing really needs to go away, and they need to get with the program here, because it's ridiculous to have a phone that could easily be found long before any damage happened. And then this is the result, because I couldn't use any sort of Find My iPhone. So, thanks, Verizon.